know by tomorrow. Okay, if everyone is actually okay, then we can actually go on like that from next class, next week. Okay,
Sir, or else it will be fine if from 11:15 to 12:45, sir.
11:15 to 12:45. Yeah, that is
12:45.
also,
Yes, sir.
yeah, that is also okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let all of you discuss among yourself, and then let me know by tomorrow. Yeah, 11:15 to 12:45 is also okay. Okay, so but that case, if DT is actually taking some 10 or 15 minutes more, then you are not having that much break. Okay, if you are actually okay, so if everyone is actually okay, then only we will actually proceed. If even if you are actually having some issues, we will actually follow that same timetable. Okay, yeah. So Kalyan, let me know by tomorrow. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
tomorrow's class, let me know. We can actually plan like this from next week. Okay. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So from so last class we were actually checking. Okay. Yeah. So in the last class we were actually we started seeing this introduction for conduction, introduction for heat transfer. First we said what is actually the first law of thermodynamics and why it is actually why a different subject itself called heat transfer is actually required, because thermodynamics always deals with equilibrium conditions where temperature is actually constant throughout. Whereas heat transfer within the surface or between the surface, it is actually happening due to this change in the temperatures. So uh, so this thermodynamics will actually tell us what is actually the total amount of heat transferred. Okay, and if you have actually seen that in thermodynamics, still you have actually studied the heat transfer rate also when you are actually studied this first law of thermodynamics. Instead of simply this, you have also studied the rate of change of energy. So that also you have actually studied. But there also we are actually assuming a equilibrium condition at each and every state, each and every time. So that's why we were able to do this rate equilibrium. So, but the issue is that, yeah, you can see that in today's class we will still use this thermodynamics, but we can actually see that uh, the temperature difference cannot be actually incorporated in this thermodynamics. Okay? So, so if from this thermodynamics laws, what we can actually say is, if we can actually measure the internal energy, initial and final states, or each and every state rate also, if we can actually somehow measure the temperatures and all, then we can actually find what is actually the Q and all those things. We cannot actually relate Q with the temperatures and all, with the laws of thermodynamics. So that's why we are actually going to need this course. So we said that there are three modes of heat transfer. Conduction is there, convection is there, and radiation is there. The conduction is actually due to the diffusion as well as interaction of the molecules. Okay, so that's what we were actually discussing. Since it is actually diffusion, it actually depends upon various factors like the temperature difference, obviously, and the length of the material across which the heat is actually going to be transferred, and the cross-sectional area, type of material, all those things. And we said that the basic governing law, which is actually guiding this conduction, is actually the Fourier's law. Okay? And then we started seeing the convection. We said that in convection, it is actually the heat transfer between a surface and actually and a liquid. So in that case, we said that there is actually boundary layer formation on that. So at the on the surface where there is actually no slip condition, so on into the first layer of molecules, the heat is actually transferred due to conduction itself. So after that, due to diffusion and all, the molecules in the nocive layer reaches to the upper layer where the bulk motion of the liquids are actually there. So we can say that the conduction or convection is actually consists of two different processes. One is actually obviously the uh, this diffusion process, as well as second is actually the conduction process, bulk motion of the liquids. And the bulk motion of the liquids is actually known as the advection process. Okay, so that's where we actually stopped in the last class. So now we can actually continue and we can actually finish off this introductory part. Okay, so any doubts in this? If you have any doubts at all, we can actually discuss. So this is actually the basis. It is actually, we have to be very clear of all this. Okay. And we said that this bulk motion of the fluid, which is actually happening over here, obviously the bulk motion of fluid is actually happening in this direction. So even though we are actually saying it is actually the bulk motion, we can actually see that the diffusion process will be actually happening everywhere. We are actually seeing each and every molecule. Okay, as a bulk, it is actually moving in the forward direction, but this diffusion is always happening everywhere. Okay, so therefore, even though we are actually saying advection, into that this diffusion is also going to be superimposed. So all these processes together is actually going to make the convection. So we can see now that it is actually a very complicated process as it is. So therefore, we can actually say that convection heat transfer actually depends on many parameters. What are parameters? It obviously depends upon the temperature between the surface and the liquid. Okay, and second one, it is actually depends upon the flow condition. Like what is actually the velocity of the flow and how much turbulence is actually going to be there, because we can see that the heat is actually taken away from the fluid itself, right? So if a fluid is actually moving at a higher speed, obviously more heat will be actually taken. And if the turbulence is actually very high, then what happens? Then the mixing of the liquids are actually going to be very good. So it can due to diffusion and or even due to this high chaotic manner, more cold fluid are actually going to reach to the surface, right? So more cold fluids are actually going to reach to the surface, and therefore, since some diffusion is actually happening at the boundary layer, there is actually high chance that high temperature fluids are actually carried away due to a turbulence flow and all. So basically, the heat transfer is actually going to be higher, or convective heat transfer is actually going to be higher. So that is actually one other thing. So flow conditions and all. So the another condition, it can be actually the type of fluid itself. Okay, so type of fluid. Even if we are actually running air and water at the same temperature, so we actually saw just previously that the conductive heat transfer, which is actually the thermal conductivity. Thermal conductivity for water, we actually said, is actually going to be greater than that of air, because in a liquid, the molecular interactions are actually going to be higher than that of a gas, right? So therefore, the conductivity of water is obviously going to be more than that of air. So therefore, what happens is that at the boundary layer, we actually said that at the boundary layer, the conduction or the heat transfer is actually due to this conduction only. Okay, so therefore we can actually say that the heat transfer from a solid surface to a water is actually going to be higher than that of an air at the same flow conditions. Okay. So therefore it actually depends upon type of fluid. And another thing is actually the geometry also, it is actually going to be affected. Okay, geometry of surface. Okay, so it is also going to affect this overall convective heat transfer. Why it is? Because if you are having a simple flat surface, the fluid is actually passing over that. Obviously, the boundary layer formations are out going to be there. But if you are actually having a surface like this, and if you are actually going to give a step, simply a step, so what happens is that the flow is actually, boundary layer is actually developing like this. But when it actually reaches over here, some fluid is actually going to jump up and it is actually striking. Okay, so therefore again boundary layer is actually happening over here. So therefore we can see that over here the boundary layer thickness are actually going to be very less. So obviously there is actually going to be a better heat transfer because here the fluids are actually not zero velocity. Okay, because from here only boundary layer is actually going to be growing again. So therefore, again, the heat transfer coefficients or convective heat transfer is again going to be different from a if by the introduction of a simple step. Okay. So therefore, it again depends upon the geometry of the surface. So, but the conduction equation, we actually saw that it is actually obviously depends upon the cross-sectional area, but the property was actually not changing. The conductivity, it actually doesn't depend upon what is actually the surface under. Okay. So anyway, so this convection, we can see that it is actually depending on all these parameters. So we have to actually have some equation also, right, for relating all these parameters to that of the uh, convective heat that is actually transferred. Okay, so we can actually say that it is actually this equation: Q convection is equal to H into A into Ts minus T infinity. We can actually write like that. Okay. So this equation again, it is actually law of cooling. We can actually say law of cooling because it was actually initially proposed for the cooling only. If you are having a hot surface and if you are actually cold fluid, so it is actually this fluid is actually going to take away heat from the solid surface. Okay. So again, we can see that we are actually mentioning about law. So that means it cannot be actually derived from any other basic equation. So this is all based upon the observations and all those things. Okay. So do you know whom this law is actually credited to? Like conductivity, it was credited for Fourier. Do you know whom this equation is actually credited to? One of the great minds ever, Newton's. This is actually known as Newton's law of cooling. Okay. It's actually a very simple equation, but here we can actually see that obviously the temperature difference we have actually taken care of. Okay. And geometry of the surface in a manner we have actually checked into this surface area. So the A is actually the surface area through which heat is actually transferred, through which heat is transferred. Okay, but again it is just a surface area we are actually talking about, but we are actually not talking about this abnormalities in the geometries. Okay, so that we are actually not dealing with, and type of fluid, flow condition, all those things we need to actually address. Okay, so all those things are actually addressed by this parameter, which is actually H is actually the heat transfer coefficient. Okay, its unit is watt per meter square Kelvin. Okay, so heat transfer coefficient, therefore we can actually see that it depends upon type of fluid, okay, the flow condition, the geometry of the surface, so many parameters this heat transfer coefficient is actually going to be dependent upon. So even if you are having this uh, yeah, the same flow condition, even though we are having same flow condition and same type of fluid, but with the introduction of a simple geometry, it is actually going to be changed. The heat transfer coefficient going to be changed. Okay. And again, if you are having the same geometry and if you are having the same flow condition, but we said that by the change of fluid, it is actually going to be different. And even if it is actually the same fluid, if you're actually increasing the velocity, free stream velocity we are talking about, okay, the velocity whatever we are actually talking about, if it is actually increased by 1 or 2 meter or 2 or 3 percentage itself, then again the heat transfer coefficient is actually going to be changed. Okay. So therefore, this heat transfer coefficient is actually very particular for the problem at hand. So, but for the conductivity, we can actually say that for a particular material at this temperature, so this is actually the conductivity. We can actually say that. That is actually a material property. The conductivity is actually a material property. But heat transfer coefficient, we can actually say, is actually flow property. It is not a fluid property, it is actually a flow property. So many scientists, they are actually spending their lifetime to find the heat transfer coefficient for any particular conditions. Okay, so that's why when we are actually going or when we are actually going to see this heat transfer coefficients, we can actually see that there is actually one equation for heat transfer from a cylinder. Okay? If you are actually putting two cylinders, the equation is actually going to be different. If you're actually putting three cylinders in a particular arrangement, heat transfer coefficient going to be cylinder. The same thing if you're actually going to arrange in a different manner, the heat transfer coefficient going to be different. Okay? Because this heat transfer coefficient, it is actually depend upon so many properties, and it is actually very much influenced by various parameters. Okay? So that is actually the heat transfer coefficient. So therefore, we will actually see later. So that's why so many studies are actually required for this convective heat transfer coefficient. Even if you are actually changing one parameter, so if you even if you are changing a very small parameter, then everything is actually going to be changed. Okay. So again, one more thing is that in this equation, we are actually assuming a T surface temperature to be greater than that of the free stream temperature. Okay, so that's why we have actually written it like this. So, but if the opposite is actually true, if the fluid temperature is actually having a higher temperature and surface temperature is actually lower, then you can actually say that automatically this equation changes to a negative sign. Okay, so therefore it is unlike this conductivity equation, we are not having any minus sign or something over here. So we it will be automatically giving us what is actually the direction. Or we should be having some your idea of what is actually the temperature differences. If you are not having, then the equation itself will actually take care of that. Okay. So yeah, so that is actually the very brief for the conduction. So we will see obviously see in very much detail the convective heat transfer later. And the third one is actually the radiation. Okay, so radiation is actually a medium in which very small studies or many studies are actually happening, but it is comparatively difficult to that of the convection and convection. First of all, it is not that relevant for a normal application. Sorry. So it is actually not radiation is actually not relevant for many of the engineering applications. So that's why not much studies are actually being conducted on radiation as compared to conduction and convection. Okay, so obviously many studies are actually still happening on radiation, but the amount of the study we can actually see is actually comparatively lower to that of conduction and convection. So radiation, first of all, what is actually radiation? Okay, so we know that any substance, okay, any substance at a finite temperature emits energy. Okay, so any substance, it is actually at a finite temperature emits energy. In what form it is actually emitting energy? In form of electromagnetic radiation. Electromagnetic radiation. Okay, so why it is actually emitting? Okay, so it is always emitting. It is actually due to electronic configuration, changes in the electronic configuration. Okay, changes in electronic configuration. Okay, so we said that when we are having a higher temperatures, okay, so what happens? The amount of the energy or energy available for each and every atomic as well as the subatomic particles are actually going to be higher. So these electrons are also going to be actually having a higher excitation if the temperature is actually going to be high. So that excitation, sometimes it is actually going to jump between the states, or even if it is actually not there, so some amount of oscillations are actually going to be there for these electrons. So since these electrons are actually having this electric conductivity, there is actually going to be a magnetic field associated with that. Okay, so that vibration of the electrons electronic configuration, that is actually going to give rise the that is actually going to give rise this vibrations. Okay, so therefore we can actually see that uh, yeah. So this electromagnetic radiation, whatever is actually generated, it can actually propagate through this. Yeah, it can actually propagate through the medium or even without a medium. Okay, so energy. Yeah, so that is actually the beauty for this electromagnetic radiation. So even though the energy generated is actually vary from different ranges, so we are actually saying that energy emitted in a very few wavelength is actually termed as the thermal radiation. So we are not going to detail for now, but we know that the electromagnetic radiation having a particular wavelength and frequency associated with this. So and the wavelength, it actually varies from 0 to infinity like that. But only the energy emitted within energy emitted within a small band, emitted within a small band of wavelength. So probably somewhere around zero point 0.1 to 100 we can actually say micrometer. Okay, is termed as thermal radiation. Okay, thermal radiation, because we can actually see that from the Wade's displacement law, we can actually see that 0.1 to 100, it actually varies somewhere around 20 Kelvin to almost 25,000 Kelvin number. Okay, 25,000 or 28 Kelvin to 28,000 Kelvin number. So this 28,000 etc. This is actually the temperature range which we are actually more interested in as an engineers, or which is actually more likely to be happening for cases which is actually of engineering importance. Okay, so that's why it is actually known as the thermal radiation. Okay, so obviously in stars and all, the temperatures are actually climbing up to millions and all, but yeah, it is actually not of that much. It is actually a rare phenomenon, not rare phenomenon from an engineering point of view. It is actually of not that much use. Okay, so that's why this is actually the range which is actually termed as the thermal radiation, or mainly the radiation happening that is actually that we have to actually study based on the thermal phenomena. Okay. Another important thing is that no medium is actually required for this. No medium is actually required for this radiation to happen. Okay? So therefore, it can actually happen through a long distances also. Okay. So because over the space, therefore, the radiation is actually going to be the only medium of heat exchange. So for the conduction as well as the convection to happen, the movement of the molecules are always going to be there. But for radiation, no medium is actually going to be there. Okay? So we actually said that any body which is actually at a finite temperature, say T1, it is actually going to emit this radiation, right? From 0.0001 Kelvin to infinite Kelvin, it is always going to be having the radiation. But you can actually see that if you are having a body at T2, so that is also going to be emitting radiation. Okay? So even though T1 and T2 are actually different, so even though T1 is actually going to be, say, greater than T2, when though T1 is actually going to be greater than T2, we can actually see that T1 is actually still receiving some energy emitted from a T2. Okay? So T1 is actually still receiving some energy emitted from T2. But this is actually in violation of thermodynamics law, right? So now heat is actually transferred from a lower temperature to higher temperature. But that we haven't viewed in conduction as well as convection. But here you can actually see that heat is actually transferred from T2 to T1. Is that possible? Where are we actually going wrong? Can anyone say? Can anyone say where we are actually going wrong?
Sir, we always talk about the net change, sir. It's
Yeah,
like
very good. It's actually very good. So if so, likewise, T1 is T2 is also receiving heat from T1 to T2. So if you are actually seeing, we can actually say this is actually Q21, and we can actually say this is actually Q1. We can actually see that Q12 is actually going to be higher than that of Q21. So we can actually say that net heat transfer is actually from 1 to 2. Okay, so that is actually this net radiation heat transfer. We can actually say the exchange of energy, the exchange of energy between two bodies is actually important at a different temperatures. Obviously, at different temperatures is actually known as radiation heat transfer. Is radiation heat transfer. We are actually mainly interested in that study, radiation heat transfer, more than simply heat transfer from one body. We are more interested as an engineers, or from a heat transfer point of view, we are actually more interested in it. But as a scientist, all those scientists, they are actually much more interested in what is actually the energy emitted from a single surface. Okay. So, and also we can actually see that the maximum energy that can be emitted, the maximum energy, maximum radiation energy that can be emitted is actually given by EB is equal to sigma Ts raised to 4 into the area. A is actually the surface area, okay, and sigma we actually known as it is actually the Stefan Boltzmann law, Boltzmann constant. Okay, this is actually the Stefan Boltzmann constant, and this law is actually known as Stefan Boltzmann law. Stefan or Stefan LTZMAN Boltzmann law. Okay, so it is actually known as again we can see that it is actually law. It is actually not a basic derivation from anywhere else. It's again a law only we are talking about. Okay, and yeah, so this is actually the maximum radiation a body can actually emit when it is at a particular temperature Ts. Okay, so and such a body which can emit this maximum radiation is actually known as black body. Okay, such a body is actually known as black body. Okay, so what is actually the issue with black body? It is just an hypothetical body. Okay, a hypothetical body. Okay, so therefore we can actually see that the maximum radiation that can actually a surface can actually emit is actually sigma Ts raised to 4 into this area. So all the bodies, whatever real bodies are actually there, they are actually emitting a energy which is actually lower than that of that. Okay, so there is actually some what we can actually there is actually some other parameters known as effectiveness comes into picture. So all those things we will actually see when we are talking more about this radiation heat transfer. Okay, so and again 1 minute. Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, so we said we are actually more interested in this net rate of heat transfer and all, right? So that again we have to actually see in very much detail. So, but to give a idea between these two, we actually said there are actually two bodies and all. So we can actually say that. So we actually say that the Q radiation, the Q net radiation, we can actually say that A1 F12 from T1 raised to 4 minus T2 raised to 4 is equal to A2 F21 T1 raised to 4 minus T2 raised to 4. Okay, here, obviously, we are actually assuming T1 is actually greater than that of T2. So, therefore, T1 raised to 4 minus T2 raised to 4. If our assumption is actually wrong, then we will get a negative value, and therefore, it is actually the values are actually coming to be negative. That means our assumed direction is actually wrong. And there is actually another things which is actually F12 and F21. Okay, so these are actually known as view factors. Okay, don't worry, we will actually see this view factor in very much detail later. Okay, so this actually inherently tells us that this view factor, how much of the radiation that is actually falling from T2 or giving from T2 is actually falling onto T1, because we know that radiation is actually happening in all directions. So we are actually said that it is actually a molecular property or electronic property. So electrons are actually there in all the surface, all the molecules in the surface, right? So therefore, energy is actually transferred in all the directions. So out of this total energy transfer, how much is actually interrupted by the body T, a body of temperature T1? Okay. So that actually tells us this F21, or in the vice versa, it is actually F12. So that is actually the known as the view factor. So don't worry, we will actually see all these things in very much detail. So this is actually some introduction to all the three parts: conduction, convection, and radiation. So even though we actually said that they are actually of what we can actually say, they're of different modes and all, and we actually saw it separately. But in most of the conditions, all these things will be actually happening in a simultaneous manner. Okay, so we can actually see that if you are actually giving a heat flux on one of the surface, okay, so this is actually solid surface. So from here to here, we can actually see that the conduction is actually going to happen. Okay, from one surface to one end to the other end, temperature is actually happening, and we are having this surface temperature of Ts. Okay. And suppose if you are and again here also we are having Ts temperature everywhere. So therefore, obviously there is actually going to be a Q convection. Okay. So Q convection is always going to be there between the surface as well as the between the surface as well as the ambient. But again, you can actually see that whatever the body, even though we are actually talked about the bodies, the gases are also going to be having a radiation heat transfer. Okay, so therefore, there is actually going to be net radiation heat transfer between the ambient as well as the surface. Or if you are having, say, another body over here with some other temperature, so basically there is actually going to be a radiation heat transfer between these two bodies. Okay, so therefore, whatever we are actually talking about, this convection, conduction, radiation, all those things are actually happening at the same time. Okay, so it only depends upon the in many of the cases, the Q convection is actually going to be much greater than that of Q radiation. Okay, so in that cases, we are actually going to neglect the radiation so that only the effect of the conduction we are actually studying. For example, whatever the flow over flat surface we were actually talking about, okay, flow over the flat surface we were actually talking about. The fluid is actually moving at a very high temperature or very high speed. Okay, so therefore the convection heat transfer is actually going to be very dominant, and the radiations are actually going to be very less. Okay, so therefore in a practical problem you have to actually have a different type of radiation. So in boundary condition also, we will actually see later with the conduction, the boundary condition can be actually a convection or a radiation heat transfer. Okay. So that actually concludes the what we can actually say the introductory part for the heat transfer. So if you have any doubts, we can discuss, or we can actually move to the next part. Any doubts?
No, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So then we are actually moving to the next part. So now we are actually going to see the real deal. Okay. So now we are actually going to see mainly on the conduction part. Okay. So now we are actually going to see in detail what is actually the conduction. Okay. So we will actually first see the general derivation we will actually see, okay, which is actually applicable for all the cases. Okay, so then we will actually see heat diffusion equation, in 3 coordinate systems. Okay, or more than the 3, 2 we will actually see in detail, and then we will actually see heat conduction in Cartesian coordinate system, then heat conduction in polar coordinate system. Okay, so these 2 things we will actually see in detail. Okay, after that we will actually see the fins. Okay, we will actually see fins, and then we will actually see transient heat transfer. Okay, so all these things we will actually see in the conduction part. So once you actually understand the basic derivations, okay, so you have to be very thorough for next 2 classes. Once you understand these basic derivations, and once you understand what are actually the boundary conditions, etc., so then the rest of the things are actually going to be very easy for you. Okay? So we will actually try to we will actually derive it from the basic energy equation itself. So it will be actually very much easy for all. Okay. So we are actually going to see here first the conduction rate equation. Okay. The conduction rate equation we are actually going to see. So this is nothing but the extension of the Fourier's law. Okay. So yeah, we actually said that Q is equal to minus Ka dt by dx. But we said that if you are actually talking about heat flux, it is actually going to be a vector quantity. We said that heat flux is a vector quantity. So that we actually established in the last class itself. So if you are actually having a vector quantity, then obviously we can actually use the vector identities and all those things. So therefore we can actually say that Q flux, even though we said dt by dx, so we can actually say this is actually only in x direction. Okay, so we are actually assuming a heat flux is actually only in x direction. So this is just a part of the total heat flux. So we can actually write heat flux Q flux is equal to Q in the x direction, Ij into Q in the y direction, and Z into Q in Z direction. Right? So we are actually making it into the components in each and every direction. So that we can actually do, right? So, but again, we actually know that. So now we are actually trying to write this heat flux in terms of temperature. So here we actually said dt by dx. We can actually say this when t is actually only a function of x. But in practice, or for the above condition, or based on above condition, we can actually say this is actually as 1 or a. Okay. Based on a, we have to actually say that t is actually going to be a function of x, y, and z. Okay, we are not considering the time component for now. Okay. T is actually a function of x, y, and z. That's why we are having heat flux in all the directions. If the temperature variation is actually not there in z direction, then Qz is actually going to be 0. Right? So if t is actually a function of x, y, and z, t is actually varying in all the directions. Whenever there is actually a variation of temperature in any direction, there is actually going to be heat flux in that direction. Right? So therefore, we can actually write the above equation as U flux is equal to minus k. We are actually taking out the minus k common for all. We are actually assuming, yeah, we will actually see what is actually the assumption we are taking. Okay. We can actually say I into dou t by dou x plus j into dou t by dou y plus z into dou t by dou z. Okay, so in a general form, we can actually write minus k del t. Okay, so what is actually this del parameter? So where del we actually know I into dou by dou x plus j into dou by dou y plus z into dou by dou z. Okay, so del parameter we are actually seeing that we are actually talking about del operator. So del operator, it actually converts a scalar quantity into vector quantity, because here T temperature is always a scalar quantity. It is having only values. It is not having direction. So at a particular point, what is actually the temperature? That's it. It is not having any direction or something. But heat flux is actually a vector quantity. So how we can actually convert this scalar quantity into vector quantity? This del operator is actually doing that. That is all mathematical. From a physical point of view, also you can actually see it like this. Temperature variation, it is actually going to be a vector quantity. Okay, is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, very good. So therefore, yeah, so that is actually this general idea. Yeah. So here, but what we actually assumed is, we actually assumed A to be constant in all direction. Okay. This was actually the assumption we actually made. So inherently, what we actually said is that K is actually homogeneous. Okay. So that is, we actually assumed K is homogeneous. Homogeneous means it is actually same in all directions. So such a material is actually known as such a material where K is actually same throughout. Such a material where K is actually same throughout is actually known as isotropic material. Is isotropic material. Okay? It is actually known as isotropic material. Okay, but in actual practice, what happens is that K is actually a function of actually we can actually say K is actually in some of the conditions. K is actually a function of x, y, z as well as t. Okay, K is again a function of t also in many of the cases. In almost all the materials as well as the fluid, K is actually a function of t, temperature. But it not necessarily a function of x, y, and z. But in many of the cases, it is actually a function of temperature, we can actually say. Okay, yeah. So we have actually seen K in very much detail. We actually said that first of all, what is actually K? K we said is actually the thermal conductivity. We can actually say K is a transport property. Transport property. Why? Because it is known as transport property. It is actually transferring heat because it is transferring heat. Transferring heat. Okay. Can you say any other transfer property from a fluid mechanics, which is actually the property that actually transfers momentum? If you are having a two layer of fluid which is actually moving, okay, very very close to each other.
Viscosity.
Yeah, very good. Because of the transfer of this layer of fluid is having some momentum, and because of the viscosity or because of the friction between these two, the upper layer is also going to be having some momentum. Okay, so that is actually the viscosity we are talking about. Very good. So the viscosity is actually again a transport property which is actually transferring the momentum within the fluid. So K is actually a transport property because it is actually transferring the heat. So another thing is that actually we said K, we can actually say it is actually the conductivity due to electrons plus conductivity due to lattice vibration for solids. Okay, for solids. This is actually for solids. Solids, it is actually the summation of conductivity due to electrons and conductivity due to lattice vibration. For a metals and all, we can actually see that with the free electrons for metals, we can actually say that Ke is actually going to be much greater than that of Kl. So therefore, the conductivity due to electrons are actually going to be there. But for crystals, we can actually say that Kl is very much higher than that of Ke. Okay. For example, diamond, we actually say. So it actually depends upon which material and also so many parameters, it is actually depends upon the conductivity. It actually depends on what type of material, its temperatures, etc. Okay. And again, but we can actually say that for gases only the diffusion is actually going to be there. So whatever we said is actually for the solids. But for gases, as we discussed earlier, it is actually due to the interaction of molecules and diffusion of the molecules. So therefore, we can actually say that obviously the conductivity for solids generally the conductivity for solids are actually going to be much higher than that of conductivity of liquids, okay, which is again greater than that of conductivity of gas. Okay, why? Because in a solid the molecular interactions are actually very perfect, okay, and whereas in liquids it is actually relatively very poor, and compared to gas, when gas is actually considering, still the molecular interactions are actually going to be much small. Okay, so in effect we can actually say that in general I am actually saying so K for gas is actually order of, we can actually say 10 raised to minus 2 to 10 raised to minus 2. Okay. For example, conductivity of air, we can actually say it is 0.027. Okay. Whereas K of liquids, it's actually in order of say 10 raised to 0 to 10 raised to minus 1. For example, conductivity of water, it is somewhere around 0.6. Obviously, we need to actually mention watt per meter Kelvin. The watt per meter Kelvin. Okay. So whereas conductivity of metals in solids, again we have to actually be very thorough, because in solids again we are having this metals are actually there, non-metals are actually there, plastics there, rubbers there. So many materials are actually going to be there. So especially for metals, they are actually in the order of say 100. Okay. Or we can actually say 10 raised to 2. 10 raised to 2 we can actually say. For example, K of iron, it is actually somewhere around 70, 80 in that range, we can say. 80 per watt per meter Kelvin. Whereas K for copper, it is somewhere around 400 watt per meter Kelvin, like that. Okay. So that is actually the order of conductivity for different materials. So here you can actually see. Okay. So the gases, it is having very less. Even in gases, we can actually see that there is actually so much variation with the gases. For carbon dioxide and all, it is actually very less. Whereas for hydrogen and helium, it is actually relatively high. So almost one order difference is actually going to be there. So because again, it is actually depends upon the intermolecular activity, and it actually depends upon the mean free path length. So all those parameters are actually going to become into play. Then we can actually see the insulators, even though they are actually solids, we can see that their conductivities are actually very less, because neither they are actually having any good so neither they are having any good structures, or nor they are having any free electrons. Okay, so therefore the conductivities are actually very less. And again, liquids we can actually see from oil to water to mercury, again there is actually huge difference in the conductivity. Then comes the non-metallic solids, oxides, rock, and all those things. Then metal alloys, it actually comes. We can actually see that always the conductivity of pure metals are always going to be higher than that of the alloys. Okay? So because in pure metals, again, the number of free electrons are actually going to be higher. When we are actually adding more alloys, the free electrons are actually going to be engaged. Okay? For example, if you are actually having two different metals, say K1 for metal 1 and K2 for metal 2, we are actually going to have an alloy. Okay, so alloy with metal 1 and metal 2, with metal 1 and metal 2, then the conductivity of alloy usually it is actually going to be less than K1 and K2. Okay, so that is actually the usual practice we can actually see. And we can actually see that the non-metal crystals, they are having very high conductivity, because in most of the cases, in the crystals, we are having a very well arranged cell structures. Okay, so therefore the transfer or lattice vibrations are actually going to be very good, and it actually contributes to the very high heat transfer. So here you can actually see for diamonds and all, it is actually even going more than that of 1000. Okay, 1000 or 1500 range, it is actually going to be there. Okay, yeah. So that is actually some further ideas I wanted to give on conductivity. So you can actually go through any good textbooks in heat transfer. You will actually get more and more information on this. Okay. Yeah. So maybe we can actually stop it over here, because if you're actually starting the next one, it will actually take so much time. Okay. So let me know by tomorrow whether we can actually have this 1.5 hour classes. In that case, we can actually skip this Friday classes, Friday afternoon class. Okay. So any doubts?
No, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so in that case, we can actually stop the class. Yeah, Deepak Das.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you raised the hand in between, or it is unknowingly?
No, sir, it's mistake, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, then. Have a nice day too.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.